Okay, now let's go to YouTube. Hello, hello. Oh, and where's my? Hello, everybody. I'm looking for myself, and I think I found me. Hello, everybody. I'm looking for myself, and I think I found me. Okay, so I found me. I want to go to my chat. Why it doesn't show the chat? Oh God. Am I not allowing chat? Show chat. Okay, here I am. Hey, Herbert. How are you? Can you hear me? There's an echo. Hold on a second. I'm going to pop out the chat because I cannot see everything and I only have one screen over here. And this is the first time I do this. And I am going crazy. So let me go and check out the chat. Chat's here. So there's an echo. Hold on. How about that? Do you still have an echo? There's a delay. Okay, I have a second camera, and maybe that's the one that is giving the delay. So I put my phone up here. So there's a lot of delay. Okay, I may just remove my camera and just turn it off. Because if it's going to give issues, I better get out. Okay, I'm out. I took out the phone. And hopefully that, oh, and it was getting hot, so it's better than not. How's that now? Yeah, guys, I tried to go online earlier because I feel very bad with my amazing guest, and I feel bad that we were talking, chatting nice, and all of a sudden there's no sound. And shame on you guys because this was supposed to be a lip sync episode, and you guys didn't realize that. You didn't get the memo. Okay, so I'm gonna be kidding around for half an hour because thanks, guys. This is a new stream. This is not the one that I announced, so that's why I try to come early, so everybody can join to this one and not to the one announced on YouTube. Just because you understand, I had to use a new software. This is StreamYard. This is the one that Joe uses, so I just got this one real fast. And I tested with Joe last night, so it worked well, and you can hear me now. So hopefully you will be able to hear my guest too. And the audio. 2 a.m. in France. Hey, Patrick. I was going to bed. I appreciate it, Patrick. I really appreciate it. Audio is fine. Okay, good. So I shouldn't scream. You see the watermark in the corner. Yeah. This is StreamYard. Guys, I'm telling you, I was really, and I apologize again and again and again. And on all seriousness, I put OBS, and this is my MacBook Pro, so it's supposed to be state of the art. All of a sudden, 5 minutes. I kid you not. 5 minutes before I tested it in 3 days, on Tuesday, on Thursday, and I connected with Stefan 10 minutes before, and he was in the second window. We were chatting. All of a sudden he disappears, then OBS goes down and it tells me an error that OBS crashed, and I want to open it again, and I go and open it again, and the guest Stefan is not there anymore, and he's in Zoom in the back, but I cannot bring it up, and I was like crazy. I don't have hair, so I couldn't pull my hair, but I was just in crazy mode. So I tried to do it as much as possible, but as you can see, I failed. So Gard, that would be good. hold on, we can do that. Yeah, because I feel so bad with good old Stefan. He's so cool. And let me. Everybody's gonna see the link. No worries. Oh, is looking at my screen, isn't it? Oh no, you're not. Oh, good. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, you know, I'm not used to these new technologies. These new technologies are for these young kids. What happened to the good old string and tin cans? There you go, guard. You're invited. Let's see what happens. And let me go to the window. Okay. Should have tried to phone you last night. Yeah, I was so dumb, I was in such a, and I shouldn't panic that much, but I wanted you guys to have this one because I feel it's very important for everybody to hear about this. He has great experience, and I'm just gonna show also all my stuff, so you'll see. So you'll see, guys, and yeah. Hola, Patrick. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading everything. Oh, 2 a.m. in France. Oh my God. Hey, French guys, they don't sleep. They just party. They just have a good life. Get a wine, some bread, and chill out. You're used to it. It's beautiful in France. Everybody relaxes and chill. So, yeah, guys, I was growing pains. I've never had two calls at the same time. And I was also happy. I was like, oh, I got my computer. It will handle it. No problem. Oh, there's guard. Let's bring it in. I was growing pains. I've never had two calls at the same time.
Oh, I should probably put on my headphones.
And I was also happy. I was
like, mute your audio. Sorry.
Oh, there's guard. That's cool. Yeah.
See, I'm also professional with the audio in this part.
Oh, good. Because I'm not. So let me put it like this. Boom. How does it look? Looks good?
Looks perfect. I hear you. And I see you online. We're good.
Awesome, man. Thank you, guard. Yeah, yesterday I was just in panic mode, and I was really.
This is the fear. Honestly, this is one of the fears I have of ever trying to run my own stream. It's like it's so tricky because there's so many variables and stuff. And like literally the last time I tried to join a stream, I was like, my headphones were off. So.
Yeah. Well, you see me. I was just.
All right. Now I'm on. I want to see the Load Runner box, if you would, sir. So hold it up. Let's see it. I love this box.
Okay.
The classic Load Runner for Apple II. Look at that.
And this is. Let's open it up. Yeah, this is Reproduction.
Oh, it's a repro. Oh, this is the one you made, right?
Hold on.
You're like, no, this is the original.
No, I think this is an original. Yes. Yeah, it's an original. Mine don't have the internal cardboard. Yeah, everything is original here. Yeah, this is original.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you made yours though. You made that you basically scanned. Did you scan that one or like a better copy or something?
No,
you recreated it.
I recreated it. I recreate things. Hold on, I got the other one. Hold on.
We've got like 6 people in chat already. Holy smokes!
Good.
Make sure everyone hit the like button. This is the stream right now. We're live.
Yeah, please.
I'm diving off in 3 minutes, so because he's got to get ready for his main stream.
Yeah, this is the Reproduction. So, yeah, it's all damaged now. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't care anymore. But yeah, the back is beautiful. Look.
I actually think I have that exact box. I think. The original one, like you have. Yeah. Wow.
And you can see cool. Actually, yeah, I did mine a lot darker. It's white actually, but
so what's interesting about this is relevant to what you are talking about tonight, is it not?
Yeah, we'll talk about this, and as you can see, one of the things that I did in my reproductions is because I didn't have the box. That's why I did reproductions, not because I wanted to do any forgeries or like that. Because I didn't have it, I had to figure out the sizes. I have to figure out the colors, and the scans that I got, they were like yellowed. And I thought it was yellow, the background, and it's not. obviously.
Awesome. Actually,
And
it's awesome.
finally, I got this one from somebody or somewhere, and finally I got an original. But I got already my reproduction, and actually, it was without this, it was pretty good, man. It was very, very convincing, as you can see.
So the funny thing is, your reproduction looks more like an authentic one in the sense that it looks a little bit weathered. Although, so are those little white marks? Those are just something that happened when you're storage, or you didn't do that?
Yeah, it just happened when I storage it.
So
I didn't realize I should have put it in a plastic bag. It was touching the other boxes, and it got damaged.
It's funny how it actually has a little bit of the battle scars, like something you'd expect in an old box. Plus, it's yellowed because it's been sitting out in the sun or whatever. Yeah. So yours is more of a good representation of something that could be like on a set of a TV show or something. It's
and I'll show it later, but you will see the difference when you open it. You can see that this is old paper.
Yep.
This is new paper.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay, that's funny actually. All right, good. Well,
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
It's funny. I'm sorry I pulled out that one thing, but I was actually kind of curious because I just wanted to say I have that same box, and I'm just trying to look in your background there because you know, an enhanced thing. And that's like the only thing I recognize. So right.
Yeah, I'll show it up later, but I don't want to spoil it because this is more important what he has to say that what I got to say, because it's really, you know, it really took me by heart because I was in the other side of the fence. And I was always defending the reproductions until this, and it changed my mind completely. So I was like, I'm expecting a seal. I'm sorry, I don't see. Yeah, and the guest hasn't arrived, so don't worry. But yeah, mine looks a little bit wider. Yeah. Again, yeah, we can talk about that too. You can make them look old. And that's what that guy did. The guy that did the forgeries, they look old, and we need to learn how to recognize
identify things like that. Yeah.
And again, you know, if they see them daily, you know, we're a little bit, you know, they fall for it. It's hard. So he's gonna tell us how to really check it, but.
It was interesting. I saw Brenda Romero on Twitter talking about this, and they had a whole post about this. It was interesting because I know that they were establishing a museum for they have a pretty good collection, right? And one of the things they're concerned about, obviously, is like fake things getting out there and making sure if you have something, data, documents, etc., any one of these things, make sure it's, you know, donated or at least left to in some sense. So you're like, oh, again, I'm sorry, I'll bring back to your things. Like, you've got to have a note on yours. This is not real, please, right? I think you put like a watermark or something. Yeah, I'm reading everything. All right, mine. I got to leave the stream. I'm rooting in the whole thing. So
yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna say what happened, but I'll tell it later. You'll know why. But yeah, that's and let me ask you a question. Brenda Romero is the wife of John Romero?
Yeah.
Oh, because she connected me also.
Oh, yeah, they run.
Oh, she's
they're in, you know, Romero Games, and they're in
very cool person. Yeah,
they're in Ireland. They're in Ireland right now.
I knew they were very cool, but yeah, I didn't know that she was the Brenda Romero.
She was a huge you know, game developer back in the day. She was actually she grew up in upstate New York.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and she was the one who told me I'm the admin on the Apple II. So she contacted me to let me know that they were going to do that, and they were going to put it, and if I could put it over there,
super cool.
I'll put it up. So that's why I put it everywhere, you know. And
honestly, I'll tell you one story. In 2015, I met John and Brenda Romero at their yard sale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I lived locally to where they lived locally back then, and I got to meet John Romero and everything, and it was hilarious because, like, literally that weekend they were having a big like a gathering of Apple II developers. People like Chuck Summerfield, the guy who did like I think Choplifter or whatever. A bunch of people came in and they're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, this." Like, they invited me to go, and I'm like, I don't know. And it was really funny because actually I got to meet John and everything. Anyway, I'm sorry, but yeah, they were super sweet, nice people, and they were working at UCSC at the time about game design, doing stuff like that, where I live close by.
Sometimes, you know, we think that those developers are a little bit snooty or something like that, and no, they're the nicest people in the world.
Well, no, a lot of people on. So Dave's on, and Adam, Geek with Social Skills.
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm gonna get off now. So you
can
get ready for your.
We'll wait for him. Yep.
Super happy to help.
Appreciate it. So yeah, guys. In the meantime, I don't want to spoil more things. Sorry, we got some spoilers, but that's okay. You will want to. Yeah, Patrick says rep reporting on forgery. Yeah, yeah, it is bordering on forgery, and that's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do, but and I'm reading, guys. Sorry, and now I'm reading. Find a freaking Lee, you know. Hey, Dave. Dave will detect Mac effects. People, yeah, they hate your click. No, everybody loves your click cases. Mac effects. Uh, no, they're not forgeries. Everybody, they envy you. Everybody wants yours. Yeah. Even I was talking to some people in Spain. I talked to them a lot, and they're all crazy, and they would like to get a hold of a lot of them, but you know it's expensive over there, and now they're charging taxes to bring things in, so it's worst. Building a clear apple tree tomorrow, Adam. Adam, what are you not building, man? That's pretty cool. Pixar didn't happen. Yeah. Okay. Oh, gig with social skills, man. What's up? Cool. Yeah. You gotta mark your cases. Mark. Yeah, I got my clear case over here. I'm still working on it. I want to add more panache. Hey, John. Oh, John Applesauce. My hero. My snoring hero. So yeah, thanks, Dave. We'll talk about them. They're cool. They're cool. I love them. And I got, yeah, I show you guys in the other one, but I got the small version. Oh yeah. So if you don't want the big one, we can have the small one. Oh yeah, it's small. Oops. No, Captain Goodnight, don't fall. And the worst part is, well, not worse. It's kind of good now. Now that I think about it, I lost a lot of the original files for this. I had a problem. My computer, I formatted, I think, and I thought I had a backup, and I didn't. So I lost a lot of the originals. I can redo them, but you know, it's a lot of work, guys. A lot of work. So yeah, the small ones, guard, are just the same. Well, remember, I'm telling you this. Well, I'm not gonna say anything. I'll talk about this later, guys. We gotta wait for our guest that he's amazing, and but yeah, they're the same version. Just I'm gonna say that, and I have other things over here. You know, this Century Alliance, I got it. It was all crumbled and bad, and what I've been doing is also restoration of boxes. So you may not be able to see it, but yeah, there's crumble over here. Yeah, you can see this, and it was completely crumbled. I took an iron, and I ironed everything, and then I painted a little bit on top of it. I painted a lot of the issues because there was a lot of places that it was all white. The paper was showing on the corners. Everything was bad, and I've been painting it, so you can see a little bit of that paint if you see it very close. So and hold on, I'm looking at things. Oh, Stefan is here. Okay, guys, the guest is in the house. Hello, Stefan.
Hey Javier, can you hear me?
Let me. I can hear you, but let's ask the
Can
people. Hey, guys.
can everybody hear us? That's probably the more important question.
Hey, everybody! Please let us know if you can hear us. If you can hear Stefan, please. Now,
Okay.
here you go. Great.
It's already 100% better, Javier.
So the problem is that I already told them it's their fault because this was supposed to be the lip sync version, and they didn't prepare. So that's it. No, I already apologized. You know, I tried to get in, and somebody get in also to test it. So we're good.
Excellent.
Man, sorry again, but let's do it again.
And no worries, no worries. I do remember you promised me I would get a legitimate, authentic copy of Chambers of Zenobia out of this. So
I'll do it, man. But it will have a big reproduction thing over there.
Yeah.
All right, so please introduce yourself, please, and again, and let's start with the same thing that we did yesterday, please.
Sure, thanks. First of all, appreciate the opportunity to be on the to be on your live stream. My name is Stefan. I'm let's call it an Apple II enthusiast, if we could put it that way. The Apple II used to be my the computer that I grew up with, and I would say I'm a mix of a collector, preservationist, archivist, and I'm also very interested in the history of the Apple II. Not so much on the hardware side of things, but more about Apple II software, and particularly when it comes to games, but not only specifically about games.
Okay. And by the way, just to let you know, John Morris is on the chat.
Oh, good. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff.
So
Hey, John.
he can tell us. And one of the things that you say that you're doing this for preservation most than
Yeah, I mean, one of the, and I might as well talk for that about that for a couple of minutes here. John, I'm guessing a lot of people know John from his work on the applesauce floppy disk controller, not just the design of the hardware, but also the incredible software that comes with it. And over the last, I'm going to say about the last 5 years, it's been it's been pretty awesome when it comes to archiving and preserving Apple II software, and a lot of that is the result of the applesauce, and we've been able to create images, authentic images of discs, copy protection and all, right? So you don't need to crack them or anything. You actually have an image of what is stored on the original disk, and then emulators have been modified so that they can actually run these images called WAS files, and again, copy protection and all. It's pretty amazing what we've been able to do. And over the last 5 years or so, I know me personally, I've imaged, over 3,000 disk sides, and others have done just as much. There's essentially probably over 10,000 original disks that have been archived, and some of those have, they had never been preserved or archived before. Some of this stuff is like new stuff, and I think that's the most amazing part of all this is the ability to we're not done, right? I mean, I know some people sometimes say, "Oh, yeah, no, we've got everything," and
I used to say that.
4 a.m. would laugh at that. But yeah, we don't have everything, right? We have a lot, and we've gotten a whole lot more, but there's still stuff out there, and love to be able to get new unpreserved, unarchived software and be able to actually do this.
Yeah, and that's a good segue on this issue that came out.
Yes, I think it is. Wow, where to start on that one? I mean, I'm guessing if there's at least a few people that have read, if not everybody, that have read some of the write-ups out there and have seen some of the news out there. But maybe I can explain certainly how I ended up in the middle of it.
Please.
And it's certainly not all about me, because there's a whole lot of other people that were involved in this. There's a whole lot of other people that got caught in this, but I had my own experience as part of this. And what happened is, this is all really centered on a game called the Chambers of Zenobia. Okay, it's probably a game that most people are not familiar with, or I guess I should say we're not familiar with before this. And so it's a 1981 text and sort of minimal graphics adventure game that was released by a company called Avant-Garde Creations, small Apple II software company, typical as to what you had in those early days. They were based out of Eugene, Oregon, in the Western United States. Released a few titles on the Apple II for a few years, and the company was started by actually two people called Mary Carol Smith and Don Jones, and it was mostly them that sort of ran everything. But at one point, sort of early 1980s, they were willing to publish, they wanted to publish more software. So when people sent stuff in, or they also put a call out, people would send stuff in and ask if they could get published. And this 14-year-old high school student called Steven Sachs decided that he was playing adventure games, and he had bought a couple, but of course, pretty expensive at the time, and pretty expensive when you're 13, 14 years old, right? And he decided that he could do an adventure game that was just as good as the ones that he was playing. So his creation was called the Chambers of Zenobia, and he ended up making a follow-up to that one called Race for Midnight, which is a little bit better known. Still, sort of, low couple of thousands in sales, right? So nothing too huge. But Chambers of Zenobia is even less than that, couple of hundreds in sales. There's always been a cracked version of Chambers of Zenobia available on the internet, or maybe not always, but for a long time anyways. It's what we call the classic crack from probably a week after the game was released. I'm sure it was, that if not days after the game, the game was released, that somebody did that. And it's kind of interesting because, of course, it has this really interesting crack screen, as a lot of Apple II cracks did, and it says, presented by the data killer, so it's easily recognizable. So a copy of the game, that was never an issue. An original, authentic copy of the game, not cracked, with packaging, to my knowledge, had never surfaced, had never been out there. I've never found one. And ever since I learned about that game, I was interested I wanted to get an original copy. And of course, going back to what I was saying about preservation and archiving, I wanted to be able to archive that original disc. So about a year ago, I learned that a copy of the game actually had surfaced. Somebody had, in a lot that they were selling, a copy of Chambers of Zenobia. So I was like, okay, well, I'm really interested in this. Unfortunately, the game was already reserved for someone else, and I didn't know who that someone else was, but the game was reserved for someone else. So I ended up talking with a few people, and I said, I'm really interested in this. If somebody wants to trade it or sell it, but hopefully, do some sort of a trade where I have something that really interests them, they have something that really interests me, so it could be mutually beneficial. So I said, I'll make a good trade for this. Took a little while to sort of figure that out, but I ended up being able to set up a trade through a third-party intermediary, set up a trade for Chambers of Zenobia. It ended up being sort of a 4-game for 4-game trade, so it wasn't just Chambers of Zenobia. And it's got there were interesting games as part of this trade. Some people recognize some of the titles. Online Systems, Cannonball Blitz, Soft Porn, Wizard and the Princess, and so forth, right? So really sort of interesting early Apple II titles that were part of that trade. So it all seemed really good. It took a while for the trade to happen. Actually took almost 7 months from sort of agreeing that we could do something about this to actually agree on exactly what the trade would be, and then to execute the trade and send the stuff out. So what I got, my package with my games, including Chambers of Zenobia, or what I thought was Chambers of Zenobia, in mid-May. I don't remember the exact date here, but I know it's on my write-up. And right away, I was pretty excited. I'm like, oh, we finally got that copy of the game. And the first thing that I did is I put that disc, and I used the applesauce, and I created a disc image. And the disc image came out all green, which means that essentially the data integrity, there were no issues, no errors, that sort of a thing. So I was really excited about it. The one thing I didn't do, which in hindsight, I probably should have done, but I wasn't even thinking about this. I didn't actually check what the data was. I just made sure that, we got a good image, data integrity, no issues. And typical to what I've done in the past when these games come up, when things that aren't preserved come up, I immediately send that to 4am. Again, I think 4am, most people know 4am, Apple II preservationist archivist. And that's been sort of the things that we've been doing over the last little while. If I come up with something that's really interesting, I'll send it to him, and then he'll take care of it, and he'll do the conversion, make sure that it creates a good WAS file, and then he'll publish it on the Internet Archive, and it'll be available for everybody. And we'll have, our objective will be met. We'll have that software, that game preserved, right? So I did that. Again, I still hadn't checked what actually the data was, but a couple of days later, 4am comes back to me and he goes, bad news. He goes, and he essentially sends me a screenshot. And that screenshot is the crack screen from Chambers of Zenobia. So I'm like, what the? So he said, yeah, he's like, the version that's on the disk is not authentic. It's the classic crack on Chambers of Zenobia. There was another game that was part of that trade. I mentioned it was 444. It's a game called Fracas. It's a 1980 role-playing game on disc. Well, there's a tape version, but the one that I received as part of the trade was on disc. And I had imaged that as well. Now that isn't quite as rare as Chambers of Zenobia, even though it is pretty, it's not a game that is very common, but there's a couple of copies out there. And in fact, there is an existing WAS file that's already preserved of that game, but I created it anyways, just in case it was potentially another version or so forth, right? And I also sent that one to 4am, and he also looked at Fracas and he said, and bad news on this one too, it's not authentic. He showed me the disk catalog, and the disk catalog said, Pronto DOS, and Pronto DOS, for people that may not know, that is is something that was released. It's a version of DOS that was released by Beagle Bros in 1982. The game Fracas was released in 1980, so 2 years before. And it's known that it's a DOS 3.2 disk. So problem, and then I looked briefly, I looked online and I did a bit of a search, and turns out that that version of Fracas is also the sort of classic version that's available, and that's been available for many years on Apple II download sites. So we have two discs, two different games that are not authentic. We got a problem. And so so a couple of things that I did after that. First of all, started to look at the physical items that came with the games, right? The manual, the floppy disk itself, the tapes, because I had a couple of games on tapes, etc. So and found a whole pile of issues with that. And then secondly, I also sent the image files to John Morris, John is excellent, really, really knowledgeable in terms of disk encoding, recording, all this kind of stuff. And he did an analysis of the disks, and he was able to determine that through a digital pattern essentially that was present on the disk, that the same tool and the same source was used to actually write those two disks, which again clearly would not be the case if these were original disks. And not only that, but clearly would not be the case unless it was intentional for a person to actually write these two disks, right? And those two games, by the way, I was told had come from two very different sources. So two different lots. So it's not like those two games came from that same lot, Chambers of Zenobia, and with it, Fracas was found. It was, Fracas, the person had it for a couple of years, and Chambers of Zenobia had just surfaced, as I mentioned. So right then and there, we got some issues, right? Yeah, we got some issues. And like I said, then started to look at the physical items that came with the games. And I think I found a list of, I put a list on my write-up there, but I think there's about like 25 different issues with the physical items that are not.
You got them around there? You can show on the screen?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Be happy to do a bit of a, be happy to do a bit of a show and tell. So let's start with, and hopefully this will come out, fairly clearly for people. But so this is the floppy disk for Chambers of Zenobia, right?
Hold on, let me see if I can put you in full screen.
Sure.
Not me. No. Okay, I'm an idiot. Continue.
Okay. Okay. So this is the floppy disk for Chambers of Zenobia, and you can tell, that there's a label on there, and the label for there you go. I think we're full screen now. Perfect.
Yep.
The label for these floppies, and I know that because I have other floppy disks from Avant-Garde Creations with the exact same style label. The labels for these floppies, they're die-cut labels. They were printed blank with the company's logo, but no title. And the title of the game or the software that you see was then printed using a dot matrix printer. Okay, so that's how Avant-Garde did their labels, and then they put the label on the disc. This label here, I scanned it at high resolution, and then I took some pictures and I looked at it. And this label here is just one print, and it's a color print. And when you look closely, you can actually see artifacts, ink pigmentation from a color printer, probably an inkjet printer, where really the background should be white. And what that tells you, because what happens when you scan a picture or when you scan something, a document, is in color, is you're going to get all these sorts of imperfections and discoloration and all that kind of thing. And it will translate into colors on the scan itself. And then when you print the scan, you have color on the scan. So when you print the scan, then it prints color on the document that you're printing. And those that pigmentation was obvious doing a scan of that disc. And I compared it to, like I said, an original disc that I had from Avant-Garde Creations, and it was clear that there was a marked difference between the two. The other thing about that label, as I mentioned, they're die-cut labels, and it's really hard to copy die-cut materials unless you have a blank of the material or you actually have the die and the equipment to actually cut it, right? So if I'm going to try, and I don't know how well that will show, but if you look at the corners, let's see here. If you look at the corners of that label,
I can see it.
They're actually not quite rounded. They are made to look rounded, but they're not quite rounded. And when you look at it really closely, you can tell. So somebody actually hand cut that label.
The one next to your finger, the one down, it's really, really obvious. It's like straight almost down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
Somebody hand cut that label, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could, right then and there, like somebody it's not like the media on the disc was bad or there was an issue and somebody just copied over using that cracked file from the internet to make it work. Somebody actually worked at making a fake disc. Okay.
Yeah, you can tell that they took their time. It is not well done, but they took their time. And guys, remind me to tell you a little bit more about that later. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so that's just one thing. I've got more show and tell if you want. Because I think this is well, I'm going to say it's kind of fun, but the whole situation is not fun. But the show and tell might be. So here's another thing. So this is the disc for that other game I was talking about, Fracas, right? So one thing that is known about, it's by a company called Quality Software. One thing that's known about Quality Software is that they consistently use the same type of discs. Okay, so the same brand of discs. If you look, so that label has issues with it as well. When you do a scan, you can actually find that color ink pigmentation, that CMYK dot pattern. So that's an obvious tell. But if you look at the disc itself and you look at the back of the disc, this particular disc, let's see here. So it's got there you go. So it's got a lot number inscribed right here. Okay. And that type of way of actually inscribing the lot number is typical of a verbatim data life disk, okay, which is a very popular brand of discs. Probably most people are familiar with that, but that wasn't the brand of disk that Quality Software used. And the disk that Quality Software used there is a lot number at the back, but it's actually stamped, and it's stamped right here. Of course, as you can tell, it's not there. So compared, and I did a comparison with a known good disc from Quality Software. Not only that, but I went back to another collector and said, who has a disc of an original of Fracas, and asked them, what's at the back of your disc? And they confirmed that what it should be looking like, and it's not like this one. Okay, so those are discs, sort of interesting. The manuals. So let's look. So this is the manual for Fracas. At first glance, looks good. 16 pages. Staple cardstock, green cardstock cover. When I looked at it in more detail, things started to look a little bit weird. The printing looks a little bit weird, and the best one to actually show that is if you look at the back, you can kind of see inconsistencies in the printing here. It's hard to see, but when you scan it, it's very clear. What this is supposed to be is green cardstock with black printing. What this is white cardstock with color printing to make it look green and black. And if you look at and I don't know how well that will work, but if you look at the edge, you can actually see it's a white edge, right? So it's not green cardstock. This is white cardstock, right? So there's an issue. Other issue, look at the middle of the manual and look at the staples. These look like brand new staples.
Yes, sir.
Now, that in itself is a bit of an issue, but even if you give somebody the benefit of the doubt, say, the staples fell out or whatever, and you put new staples in, could be possible. But even if they did that, you should expect to see rust marks near the staples, right? And as you can tell, there's nothing here. It's like brand new. And you look at any other page in that manual, and
it looks too good. Yeah,
there's nothing. There are no rust marks whatsoever. It looks like it was printed very recently with new staples. So that's that manual. But there's more. So there's a box. So here's a game called Santa Paravia and Fiumaccio. It's a game released by Instant Software. It's a very early game. This is probably 1979, maybe even 1978. Instant Software was a very early company that released software, not just for the Apple II, but TRS-80, PET, etc. This game here is relatively well known. In the grand scheme of things, probably not at all, but with regards to some of that early software, it is. It was released for multiple platforms, etc. So, a box. First assumption on a box is, well, that's a lot of work to make a fake. So it's probably okay. It's probably real, right? Well, then you start looking at it in more detail, and if you look at the hang tab on that box, so Instant Software boxes are die-cut boxes. I'll go back to my comment. Faking, forging, die-cut stuff is not that easy to do well. And if you look at the hang tab on this, it's kind of obvious that this is not die-cut. This has been hand-cut, and you can even see almost like a black pen where this was traced out and then cut out. And I'll show you the back. This is not die-cut, right? And there's other issues with this box. If you scan it, you'll see some of the CMYK dot pattern, the color pattern. So that's always a really interesting tell, because again, I'll go back to what I was saying. When you scan something in color, because you need the color, for example, there's red that's necessary here, and so forth. If you scan something in color and there's a white area, usually you'll pick up something during your scan that's going to translate to color, and then you print it, and that color is printed. And so looking at white areas is actually a really good way of telling if something is authentic or not. And in this particular case, you get the same issue. And then if you look at the inside of the box, I mean, this might be a little hard to see here, but there you go. Like it's very amateurishly made. There's actually traces of glue in there, etc. Right? You can tell somebody sort of put that together and really didn't do a great job of it. But if you're not looking for it, you might assume that, hey, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
This is not limited to discs and manuals and even boxes, but even like tapes. So this is the tape that I received for Santa Paravia and Fiumaccio. Instant Software, they use die cut labels. I go back to this die cut stuff. And the thing with tape labels is you can actually still obtain die cut label these days and put them on. So you got to be a little careful. But this label here, very clear when you look at the hole here, very clear that is not die cut. And if you look at the corners as well, and the corner here, I don't know how well this will show, but the corner here, you can see there's a little bit of white. And what this is that label was scanned, then printed, and then cut. But the area that was printed wasn't quite the full label. So then somebody cut it, but because they cut it just a little off, there's that white of the label that still shows, right? So that's essentially a non-printed area, right?
Yeah.
Furthermore, might as well, I had a tape and I had all these suspicions, so might as well dump the contents of the tape, right? So I put this in a regular tape deck and dump the contents of this tape. There is no computer data at all on this. This is just white noise, or mostly noise. And interestingly enough, there's a few spots on there where you hear some sort of random noises and some voices of people talking, right? So clearly this is not the case. This is not the right thing. Here's another tape that I received for a game called Enchanted Island. And just to show you how easy you can still be fooled on some of these things, I actually thought this game for a while was probably legitimate, even with the 3 other games that I had received that were not. I looked at this one relatively briefly, to admit, but I looked at this one and I'm like, this one looks like it could be real, right? Nice label, die cut, nice printing, that sort of a thing, right? But then I looked at it in more detail and it was clear that it was a forgery. So dump the contents similarly to the other tape, and it's just sort of wind noise. There's no computer data on it. So that's the number one issue. The other thing about the tape is, yeah, it's printed, it's nicely printed, but it's a one print. And again, these labels, what they came as blank labels with the company logo, but no title on there. And what happened is that Greg Hassett of Mad Hatter Software, or whoever he was working with, then used a typewriter to actually write the title of the game. That way they didn't have to order 100 labels for Enchanted Island, 200 labels for Journey to Atlantis, but then they only sold, they only needed 10 for one and 50 for the other, and had too many or whatever. So they just used blank labels. But this is a one print. So it's not like there's the label and then typewriter. It's just, it was essentially laser printed, but it's a good quality print, right? So that could sort of fool you a little bit.
Yeah.
The last one I'll show you, because it's kind of interesting. So Chambers of Zenobia, which, like I said, is the really at the heart of this trade. This is why I wanted to make this trade, is to get an original of this. And it makes it a little hard when you actually don't have anything to compare to, right? So first known copy, that artwork was not out there. Nobody knows exactly what it's supposed to look like. So that makes it a little bit difficult. But one of the things that I found, so this is the front and this is the back. Okay, so it looks good enough. Let's put it that way. It looks good enough that you wouldn't necessarily know. One of the things that I did, though, when I started to see all these issues, is I scanned everything. So the inside of this is just blank red, and blank is fine. There's other games by Avant-Garde, and there's nothing inside. There's no instructions or anything, so you expect it to be blank. But I noticed, and this is going to be hard to see. I don't know if anybody will be able to see it. You kind of see it a little bit. You kind of see a logo there a little bit. In fact, I don't know if I do this. It's a little too. No, that doesn't help.
Yeah,
anyways,
you're right.
You can kind of see a logo right at the bottom there, at the middle. And when I looked at the paper, I saw that, and I'm like, there's something there. And what this is a watermark. So I said, okay. So I scanned the inside at high resolution, and then I enhanced it using Photoshop, and it came out, and you could actually make out the watermark, and it said Fabriano. So I'm like, Fabriano, I wonder what that is. Did a quick internet search. Turns out Fabriano is a manufacturer of high quality paper. It's an Italian manufacturer of high quality paper. So two things here. First of all, really doubtful that Avant-Garde Creations, a small company out of, like I said, Oregon, in the early 1980s, used Fabriano paper for for their folders, for their instruction manuals, etc. That is highly unlikely. The second piece is, when I learned that, and I told you that this trade was made through an intermediary, I asked the person I was trading the intermediary, I said, because I didn't know at that point who the end trader was, right? And I asked the person I was trading with, and I said, is your friend, i.e. the end person, in Italy? Because I just found Fabriano paper. And at that point, I didn't know who the person was. And my friend responded, and he said, yeah, he is. And then that's when he said it's Enrico Ricciardi. And it's like, well, this is all sort of coming together, right? I mean, those are not just coincidences.
Oh my God. So let me, how do I, let's see.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah. So yeah, and I want to comment real fast so you can take a breather. As a designer, I wanted to let you know that, yeah, in the past when I was studying graphic design, we used Fabriano papers, and yeah, Fabriano papers is an old paper maker from Italy, of course, and yeah, it's high end papers. We use it to do painting, oil paint, and water paint. So but it's a high-end paper, and like you say, not anybody would use Fabriano papers for making a menu, or not a menu, a little a manual. It's too expensive. So you're right, they wouldn't be, not I'm not gonna say afford, but you wouldn't use that kind of paper for a normal painting, and a small company neither, they wouldn't do that. So you're right, that's completely.
Yeah, and in the early 1980s, it wasn't, things weren't quite as global as they are today. You might not even be able to find Fabriano paper
when we
in
bought it
small town Oregon. You know what I mean?
Special store, yes. Right. Yeah. So yeah, those are the things. And if you don't mind, I also gonna comment on the things that you showed before. Yeah. Other things that you can see as a designer, I just think about it right away. Normally, labels are printed in two-color printer. They're printed. They're not printed in a printer, in a laser printer. They're printed in a real printer, and sometimes it's only a two-color job. So meaning the background, the red background will be real red, and the black will be real black. There will not be no dots because it's not a four-color process. It's expensive to do four-color or two colors. So what they do is they just use those two colors, and it's cheaper for the printer to print in just those two colors. So you should have a smooth red and a smooth black for those labels, and then you would be able to see the when the typewriter types it makes holes, let's call it, or dents, and you will
indentation. Yeah, absolutely.
The same with a dot matrix printer. You will see the indentation of the dots, and you don't see that. You see it's completely flat. So that's another thing. But yeah, you gotta see it against the light and all those things very close. But those are the two things that I would also consider to make sure that you see that the colors are solid colors.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I see a couple of. I'm seeing some of the comments here. I one of the things, and which comment was I? I don't remember the comment, but there's a couple of comments here about how some of this stuff seems obvious, right? Or I'm kind of reading that into it, and I don't disagree. I think it is, but I would say the first thing that you need to, in order to be able to recognize that something is fake or something is a forgery, the first thing you need to keep in mind is the fact that it can happen, because it's easy to convince yourself that what you have is real. And it's easy to convince yourself that it would be a lot of work to create a forgery,
Yeah.
and therefore it's probably not. And I use this box as an example, right? I mean, creating a box is, that's some work. It's not as, photocopying something maybe like this, that's one thing, but
Mhm.
creating a box, that's a fair amount of work. And you can easily, think to yourself, well, there's no issue because, it's real, because it would be so much work. Well, you have to get yourself out of the mindset and actually think, this is not magic, right? Somebody is capable of doing this. And if somebody wants to do it and take some time to do it, they can do it. And here's a perfect example. And I'll admit, when I first saw the box, I thought it was fine. I didn't think there was any issues with it,
And
right?
you're
I'm like,
excited.
who'd fake a box, right? Well, no, somebody can. And then you start looking into it, and these are not like honestly, these are not really good forgeries, right?
No.
There's all kinds of issues with them, thankfully.
But they're
Um,
good enough to
they're
fool.
good enough, and especially good enough if you tell yourself that they're real, because it would be a lot of work to make them. And then secondly, if you're in that mindset that you're trusting the person that you're dealing with, and especially when you're in a relatively small community, right?
Mhm.
You don't expect that people are necessarily going to try and con you and scam you, and you don't want to think that, right? You want to think that people are being honest, and it's easy to get to think about that, and that is sort of like the mind block that can keep you from recognizing that something is in fact a forgery.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the issue, that the combination of trust and excitement, and and you, like you just say, you convince yourself that it cannot be possible that somebody can do that, and also you're so excited to have it that you kind of block yourself, and let down all those barriers or those things that could help you figure it out.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
some people may have seen that, and I know we talked about that, Javier.
Mhm.
But when I got this package, like I said, I did an image of the disk of the floppies.
Mhm.
I sent that over, and about 5 hours later, I put a thread on Twitter, talking about Chambers of Zenobia, having found an original, all this kind of stuff. Like, I was super excited about it, and I hadn't recognized at that point. I hadn't recognized that there was any issues with anything, and I probably, I guess that leads me to an interesting point. I might not have actually recognized any of that if I hadn't dumped the contents of the discs. And that was the number one tell that sort of precipitated everything else, and a look at everything else.
And if you read that, now that you mentioned this, that you read that the original or the other group that found this, a lot of them, they never really tested their software. They just get it and put it on their, whatever they want to put it on their collection. And they never really used the software or try it.
Exactly. Absolutely. Right. So, you mentioned there's another group. So I don't know if everybody's familiar with this, but absolutely. Right. So it was really interesting, because I was looking at, like, about 4 days after this came in, I'm like, okay, these are forgeries. Like, I'm convinced that these are forgeries. And maybe 6 days in, I was convinced that these were intentional forgeries that had been sent, by a certain individual, whom we named before, Enrico Ricciardi. Uh, at the same time as I and a couple of people were sort of investigating this, there was another completely separate independent group of collectors that was investigating another set of collectibles, because they thought, mostly Ultima related collectibles,
Mhm.
because they thought that they had received forgeries. And we only got connected on the 20, I think it was the 28th of May, um, saying, hey, like, we're both actually investigating the same individual for the same things, and we did not coordinate any of this until that point. And that was actually the day before that other group went out and announced that said individual had been banned and had created forgeries. But the point that you raise is really interesting, because from that other group, I think, some of this had been going on for, I'm hearing something like 5 to 7 years, or perhaps even longer.
Mhm.
But uh, going back to the sort of the aspects of collecting, and why you get the software. And for some people, it's the physical. For some people, it's sort of somewhere in the middle. And for me in particular, yes, absolutely, I do like the having the physical goods, but the archiving, preservation, what's on the disc, what's on the tapes, is just as important, if not more important, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I actually read the disc, and that's what led to this, right?
And it's a good thing that you're a preserver, or whatever we want to call it, that you want to preserve it, not only collect, because there's people that just want to get the box and not even open it or anything, just want to put it in their collection and just keep it there. And those are the ones that didn't realize they were being conned so fast, because they were just grab it and put it in their collection, that I got it and that's it. They
Yeah,
didn't.
but I have to say, I totally respect that. I mean, people
Mhm,
collect for
mhm,
different
no, I'm-
reasons, and people have hobbies for different reasons, and that's not an issue. It's just that it just so happened that I was interested in what's on the discs, and that was really sort of the tipping, well, not the tipping point. That was the starting point, saying, okay, there's something wrong with what's happened there. But I totally respect that, and
no, yeah.
maybe that leads to another point. Like, we talked about reproductions versus forgery and that sort of a thing. Like I know that you really enjoy not only creating but having reproductions,
Mhm,
and that's completely fair, right?
yeah,
So people do these kinds of things for all kinds of different reasons. But the issue is, once you start getting into dishonesty as to the authenticity of things, and trying to defraud people. In my case, and I'll say this, I did get my original games back, so I haven't lost anything, thankfully. I haven't gotten Chambers of Zenobia, which is a bit of a piss off, but I haven't lost anything, which is good. But
yeah,
there are other people out there that paid significant sums of money,
yeah.
and I'm not entirely certain what's going on here. Hopefully, they will get either the original games that they paid for, or they're going to get their money back. But I mean, we're talking into the tens of thousands of dollars here. I mean, this is not like small potatoes, right?
No, no. Yeah, and like you say, that the problem is when it becomes money, it becomes a value of money that they are not. Let's put aside all the sentimental value and all the effort and all the things that they did, but also all the money that they're losing by getting scammed. That's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, that's the difference, right, between a reproduction and a forgery, right? I
Mhm.
mean, it's all about, and I think somebody I think I got that from someone who posted a couple of comments in the Apple II enthusiast group on Facebook. But somebody said something along the line, the difference between a forgery and a reproduction is disclosure and intent, and I completely agree, right?
Yeah,
Like, there is nothing wrong with a reproduction and enjoying the reproduction and creating the reproduction, as long as you're disclosing that it is, and it's clear that it is, and people understand what it is that they're potentially buying, right? Because somebody might be interested in buying a reproduction, but they need to gauge what they want to pay for it based upon what they know about it. And somebody is absolutely not interested in buying a reproduction, but they're willing to pay a lot of money for it. But
correct.
once you start mixing the two, that's where you have issues. And it may not have been such a big deal when the prices of software, and I'm speaking mostly Apple too, but I know it's the same on other platforms as well. But when the prices of software were relatively low, and you were talking about $10 here, $20 here, $30 here, that kind of a thing, and $100 was like really, really expensive games.
Yeah,
Um, that may not have been that much of an issue. But nowadays, you see some games that, thankfully we haven't gotten to the video game type prices, but
I
still,
heard that. Yeah.
you see some games that go for thousands of dollars. And now it is, I guess, on the one hand, it is um, uh, profitable for somebody to create a forgery, right?
Yeah.
And to put in some time to do this type of a thing, right? So so that's where it becomes more of an issue.
And I think this is a good segue. What do you think? That I show up a little bit of what I do and
Yeah,
what
please. I think that'd be great, and maybe it'd be great to hear your perspective on reproductions and how that fits within the marketplace, if you want to put it that way, or the hobby.
Sure, and thanks. My opinion is it. Well, it was until this issue. I was on the other side of the fence. I was defending the reproductions, and people always told me you got to put something over there, and I always say no, because I did my reproductions precisely because I want to reproduce it. I don't want it to put something else that is not like the original. So I want to do almost a clone. But I'm not going to do it to. I didn't want to do it to sell it. I want to do it for myself, and this is the difference with that. And we, I talk about that a lot. These are all reproductions. The problems that I had, and my first thing that I did reproductions is because I didn't have the boxes. Okay, so I didn't have access to a box. I never seen a real box I didn't have it in my hand. So all these, I did it from photos of the internet, and that's kind of it's a difficult task. Actually, I got it around here, but my first Karateka box, it's like this big because I didn't know the right sizes. So I just did a big one. I did
It's a pretty small box.
It was huge. And then I sent it to John. I sent a copy of it to John. And I say, hey, I'm going to give you a box. And he laughed when he got it. And he said, you know that your box is bigger. And I said, no. And then he gave me the right sizes, and I had to resize it. And finally I got it. So I got it the right size. And, I like to have it. And the difference also is that I don't scan and photocopy things. Yes, I didn't scan per se these ones. I got the images from the internet. Then I cleaned them up a lot on Photoshop. And the text, a lot of the fonts and the text is real fonts. So I recreated logos, like the Broadband logo. I actually recreated in Vector and all that. So it's really clean and original, basically.
Yeah.
The same things. I did the screenshots directly. I didn't took the ones from the box. So I did a real screenshot in the same time, same position, at least as much as I could. And I put it over there. So they're real screenshots. And the text also, it's I just type it from the day, and then I put the original, an image from the internet again behind it, and try to match it. So it almost matches, or it matches 100%. So at the end, it looks very nice. And why do I want a reproduction? Because I want to have a nice box, a beautiful box, not broken, not crushed. And you see, I did my Captain Goodnight, and finally, like a year ago or 2 years ago, I got an original one. And look at the state of this. It doesn't close. It has a lot of creases. It's in pretty good shape, but still, look, it doesn't close and all that. And compared to this, that it's like pristine.
Those were pretty. A lot of those boxes were pretty flimsy boxes, right? So they didn't stand up too well.
Yeah, and mine are a little bit. Well, I'm not going to say thicker, but they're a little bit. And this is one of the things that I want people to understand, to know that reproductions, you will be able to see that they are really, really nice and clean, and the paper is brand new. You can see it, and look at the paper is yellowed.
Yeah.
And it's so creased and has a lot of issues. The same thing, reproductions are basically too beautiful, too nice. Although, even the little labels, I did them again on top of it. And sometimes this is one of the best reproductions I've done in my life. Yeah. This is minor, and this actually printed in my printer, in my laser printer, with this paper, and then I cut it. And these ones, actually, I cut it with a thing called Cricut. It's like a little cutter that cuts. My wife has those things to do scrapbooking. Yeah. And this is what do you call it? Silver paper, and it has like it got you can tape it over here, so it's like a tape.
It certainly looks. I have to say, from here, it looks absolutely authentic, right?
I mean, I'm telling you, yes, it looks original.
Yeah.
But when you open first of all, you open the box and it doesn't have those separators that you have it in the original ones. You know that little piece of. I'll show you one. Right, hold on.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I know what
You
you're talking about.
of anybody knows everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things. And look at the color of an original against a reproduction. And again, the thing with my reproductions, I want to stress it. I retype everything. Everything is beautiful, and I printed it. I sent it out to a full color printer, so it's a real, print. It's not a laser or something like that. So these are expensive also to make. And if you add this thing and this, it cost me around. This one's cost around $80 to make on the printer, on a real printer, because it's also I just print one. So when you print one, the costs go up to the roof. And this is the original load runner, and this is my copy. Same thing, but one of the things that I was telling the guys is because I copy from the internet, I don't have boxes, original boxes. That's what I did it. I didn't realize that the one that I copied from was very yellowed, so I make it yellow or kind of, and the real one is white. So again, it's I didn't know, and I did the copies because I didn't have the originals.
And that's really interesting. But I guess one thing I'll say is, it sort of goes back to a couple of things we were talking about here. But if you don't have something to compare it to directly, which presumably most people may not have that because they just want to buy the one of, they may not, and if you're in the mindset that, hey, this is legitimate, you may not question it. You may think that this is actually an authentic, original box.
And all these are reproductions. One of the I'm going to show you one that is one of my gold mines. This one. This is a very rare. I know that this is kind of rare, the short circuit, and you should know more than me about it. But I just saw I scanned these from a crumbled scan from eBay. And the original was all crumbled. I sold like for $200 or $300. So I was like, I like the artwork. I like the box. I'm going to reproduce it for me. When I did it, what's his name? David Schroeder. Schroeder, I think it is.
Yeah.
He's in the group. He's in the Apple II group. He saw it and he contacted me and he told me, I don't have that box. He told me. So I actually did one for him and I sent it to him as a gift. Because he got his own box, and also, like you say, I created in paper. I just printed in laser printer, it's new and all that, and it's just in cardstock with that color. Yeah. So, I mean, and I also did reproductions of the floppy, I think, with the microlab, and the label.
Yeah, fairly simple label that they had too. So
So it's and all this is gonna have. What's gonna happen is just for you to know. After all this, I just got a staple rubber stamp that says reproduction. It's gonna be like this big. I was expecting it yesterday, but I didn't get it. So I'm gonna put inside here the reproduction. I'm gonna put it maybe on the back of the floppy. I'm gonna also staple in red, and I'm gonna also staple either here or inside here, but it's gonna be on the inside, and it's gonna say reproduction. Yes, I was thinking about in the small ones, but they can take it out and say, oh, it's original anyway. So I'll do it kind of big over here, and it's a big one. So and I'm gonna do that to everything. I may not do it over here. I don't know because it's too big. I don't know. I'll get some information, but. Yeah, this and again, this is compared to yours. This looks brand new, and it's supposed to look brand new, and I don't want it to look different because I want it to have an original, brand new, basically. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, totally. But I think I agree with what you're doing. I think stamping it reproduction. Is the way to go here.
Just because if for something, because I don't plan to do more, I don't plan to sell them. But if let's say I die or somebody breaks in and takes them, and they want to sell them, people don't want to get the wrong impression or the wrong information.
Yeah, and people can know what it is, and they can make their decision based on that, right? Yeah.
And again,
Mine are two. Yeah.
they're very difficult to get. They're expensive to get, and
Yeah.
then you get them, they're all crumbled. So that's
The
why I did it.
that game did not. That Miner 2049 or 2 did not sell many copies at all. So yeah.
And and that's what I'm telling you. I wish I could just get the original ones. I got finally a spare change, and look again, crumbled.
Yeah.
You see all that? And this was my spare change, and this is a really bad copy.
Yeah, it's a little. Like,
Yeah, look at the colors, completely different and ugly. But I just because I didn't have it, and I redid it, but now I have an original. But the same thing, it's all crumbled, all
Yep.
and I don't like that. I don't like them to look like that. And this is so crumbled. I actually also iron it and still couldn't take it out too much. So those are the other things that I've been trying to do some clean some boxes. But again, and I like this artwork. This is the artwork that I like. And like, Rudy says, this takes a lot of time to do. It's hours and hours of just doing the artwork in the computer.
Yeah.
And then cleaning up, and then when you print it out, send it out to the printer brings you back, and it doesn't cut it for you, so you got to cut it by hand and then fold it and tape it and all that. And you can see the edge is white.
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of things that I used to say are obvious, that it's brand new, but it doesn't hurt. I did everything, and it looks nice, looks original, but the intention is not to forge. The intention
That's
is
right.
Duplicate. Yeah.
Yeah, which is perfectly good. Like I said, to me the difference is disclosure and intent.
Right. And yeah, look, this is an original, and it has this printed in, so it's a big difference. But yeah, that's exactly what I say. And just for you to know, I don't know you've seen these ones. These are the same things that I did, just in
just miniature ones.
It's micro.
I've never seen those.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I just, what I did is I printed in photographic paper.
Yeah.
And also I created small. Oh yeah, you're gonna laugh at this. Oh look, the little wheel.
Oh jeez. Yeah.
And it moves. Yeah, it works. And there's a floppy here. So.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Love it.
And actually, I make it from original floppies. It's like a floppy, a bad floppy, of course.
Part of a floppy, yeah.
Yeah, and I cut it and just fold it and make a hole with a punch.
That's so pretty amazing.
It's funny. It's just, again, it's not to do forgery, but it's just to do fun. Even the manual, the top secret manual. Yeah, so I'm telling you, you can do cool things, with this, and these are better because it's same thing, and there's no issue with that.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's great.
Yeah, but going back, yeah, you're right. I think we gotta be more open about all these things, and it's very important to make sure that we, as well, the collectors, and we, of course, as a group, we gotta make sure that when we see something like that, and we sometimes go to the group and show off when we see something weird, like forgery on eBay or something like that. And we may make fun of it, but maybe we should be a little bit more open and say, guys, these look fake, be careful, or something like that.
Yeah.
So make sure that what you just say, and I would add the same thing, make sure that when you see photos, as Herbert say, it's difficult when you're looking at photos from eBay to realize that it's a forgery.
It is, and so I guess a couple of things I think that are worth mentioning here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a whole lot of forgeries out there, which is, I think, a good thing, a really good thing to know. Like this is one sort of major incident, and I don't know how many items this person forged, but I'm thinking it's at least 100, so it's fairly significant. But it reaches out to a bunch of different individuals, but by and large, the trades and the sales that are being made, I mean, there's been a few exceptions, but by and large, they're, you know, it, this stuff's legitimate. It's authentic. It's legitimate. They're, the sellers are honest.
Mhm.
So I don't think we should have a mindset that, everybody is,
Yeah.
it's all forgeries everywhere and so forth. But I think it makes sense to be a bit careful
Mhm.
and to use a little bit of thinking to, like you said, when you see things on eBay, sometimes it's hard to see. I don't know if people have seen the pictures that I received from my transaction, but they were really bad. Like they were sort of low res pictures, sort of the lighting was bad, that sort of a thing. It was hard to really say, is this legitimate or is this not? But it wasn't even in my, I wasn't even thinking about that too much. I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, it's probably right. It's
Mhm.
probably legitimate, right?
Yeah.
But I would say that's one of the important things. If people are buying or trading, ask for some relatively good pictures of what you're getting so that you can take a look.
Mhm.
I mean, if you can do a transaction in person, of course, that's fantastic, right? But in most cases, you can't do that. But and then when you receive the stuff, like take a close look and keep in mind that yes, it is work to create forgeries, but it can be done. And I think that's the sort of the first thing you need to look at, and then take a look and look for some of the obvious signs. And um, like I said, sort of the white areas there, things that don't look like they're cut properly, things where the printing sharpness isn't quite there, those types of things. And that I think is sort of due diligence. And for games or for software that sells for $10, $20, that sort of a thing. And I mean, I don't think you need to worry too much about that. But if you're buying a rare piece of software or something that is very desirable, because rarity and desirability are two different things, right? But something that goes for a lot of money, then yeah, if it's the more money you're paying for it, the more you should pay close attention to what you're getting. And I would say, reputation of the individual you're dealing with is important,
Important.
but sometimes you don't know what it is. And then sometimes, even when the person has a good reputation, as the person I was trading with did in this case, they're the ones that are actually taking advantage of you. So it's not all about reputation.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's not. And yeah, it's important that they, like you say, do your homework, do your due diligence, and more if you're going to spend more than, I would say, $100. I'm
Yeah.
kind of cheap on that. If you're above 100, really make sure that you're getting what you're looking for, and ask for photos, ask for things, and maybe do also a transaction with something like PayPal so you can get your money back if there's an.
Totally.
Yep.
I mean, eBay. People sometimes go sort of sidestep eBay and do transactions that way, and I understand why doing it, because it does save a bit of money, that sort of a thing. But
Yeah.
eBay does come with a buyer protection.
Right.
So if you get something that's not authentic, you can actually complain and get your money back. And the same thing with PayPal, right? If you're not getting what you asked for, then there's some ways. PayPal is a bit annoying sometimes, and their
Yeah.
customer service is pretty terrible. But there's some ways of getting your money back, right? So you're getting, there's some protection here. If you're going completely off of that, it's more difficult. And I guess maybe sometimes that could be a sign if somebody really does not want to do a transaction via eBay or via PayPal, or they just want you to send money in a wire transfer directly, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That can be a bit of a red flag. I mean, I'm not saying that it
No,
is
but
100%, but it's these types of things where you need to be. I think you need to be thinking of.
exactly added
Um,
to the precautions.
Exactly. And just realizing that there is money to be made for people who want to make
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
There's money that can be made in old computer software these days,
Mhm.
old computer games, right? So just be aware that could be an issue.
And that reminded me, maybe some of the guys at the that are viewing us right now, maybe Herbert remembers there was a guy that was forging things like a 4, 5, 6 years ago in the Apple II group, and he was actually, he was laughing, at people that bought it, his stuff. He was a jerk basically,
Yeah.
and he was, selling, blatantly things, and then making fun of the people that bought them. And so they're really people that just want to make money and have fun, uh, doing things to other people. But you gotta just, again, do your due diligence. Don't, like you say, don't stop trusting people, and don't lose faith. But at the same time, just go on for the details. Be more detailed when you're looking at things, and a little bit more. Um, uh, don't get excited, and see it with cool eyes, and see, oh yeah, this, and remember these things. Like I told you, in those times there were not printing like that, and they didn't print with these dots and these things. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
where
I would hate for sort of the community, the group of enthusiasts to become cynical. I think that would be a really unfortunate
yeah.
result of this. I don't think we need to do that.
Mhm.
I think we just need to be a little bit careful. And this particular incident here, which clearly has been going on for a little while, but this particular incident here, just I think, is a good reminder for everybody here. And I certainly hope that there's not a lot of people that have lost money, or that are going to be losing money off of this. But yeah, just be careful, I think.
And don't be afraid to ask. I would say, if you see something, or you get something that you're doubtful, and maybe you don't know, ask to the group. Maybe somebody, like, I know not much, but I know a little bit of graphic arts, so I can tell you those things about graphic arts.
Yep.
So printing. So, this is the process, and maybe in the 80s it was like this and like that, because I knew that there was no computers, of course, to create those labels. Labels were done by hand, painted and cut out and all that. So the original. So yeah, you got to see all those little details, and ask the group or the community for help. Maybe, hey, I'm about to buy this. What do you guys think? It looks original. It looks like it's a good thing. Blah blah. I think that's where to do it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think you're absolutely right. And I'll, I've made hundreds of transactions, and this is really the only one where I've had
There you go.
a significant issue, right? So I think by and large, people are honest, but there is potential out there.
Yeah, and again, we in the group or in the community, we're trying to do new things, and these things, or what Mac Effects is doing, are nice reproductions, nice things, and that has to be the same thing. We want just to have fun. We want everybody to be happy, and if somebody's gonna have doubts, don't get sour. Just ask, and
Absolutely. And I know personally, I've been encouraging everybody that's had a bad experience, specific to Enrico Ricciardi, but to actually come out and talk about it and say, hey, here's what happened, right? But and the reason for that is, I think, I know some people are probably a little bit ashamed that they've been sort of had, but I think you need to sort of, I hate to say it, but I think you sort of need to get over that and share. And it's not specific to it needs to be more than just this particular incident, because I guarantee there's going to be more incidents in the future, right? It's going to happen. So if we can actually share that information with each other, we can minimize this type of thing, right? And if somebody does lose money, or if somebody loses makes a bad trade or loses a game, okay, that is absolutely unfortunate. But maybe it'll prevent somebody else from getting scammed by the same person, right?
Right. Yeah. And maybe we can help that person to, I don't know, get a replacement or something like that in the future. You never know.
Yeah.
Like somebody loses something, and then in the future I see something that maybe he would like to have, and I tell him, hey, there's something over here before somebody else get it, so you can finally get what you want, whatever. It's community. It's like, it's like people that put videos without audio, So don't be ashamed.
It's all good because the next time it works, right? So it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the things. So what else do you think we should tell the people about it? It's not only on the Apple side. I think on all the
Oh yeah.
uh,
Absolutely. Like I mean, I'm my oops my interest is specifically the Apple II, but some people are multi-platform, some people are other platforms. I mean, it's interesting, right? You look at the community, and again, I spoke at the beginning about how different people are more interested in sort of pure collecting. Other people are more interested in preservation. Some
Yep.
people are sort of in the middle. Some people are interested in collecting. They're not so much interested in preservation, but they also like to play the games.
Yep.
It's a big mix, right? And then there's people that are single platform. There's people that like multiple platforms, or people that are sort of like, let's call it particular genres, like
Mhm.
adventures and role-playing games. And there's people that like different things, right? So it's all a bit of a mix, but it's like it's all good, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And don't again, don't get discouraged, and just enjoy it. That's
It's fun. I wouldn't do this if it wasn't fun. Like uh, um, there's a piece of and sometimes collecting is looked at in a negative light, saying, well, you're just accumulating a bunch of
hoarding.
stuff, hoarding, etc. And like again, I sort of get that perspective, but there's a piece of it, like for me anyways, is because I'm having fun, and I'm having fun with the people that I meet, the people that I talk to,
Mhm.
the different relationships that are built. I really enjoy, like, I was talking about this idea of finding those, this unpreserved or unarchived things. And I really enjoy being able to find those. It's kind of like, you've hit your objective, right? And it's a bit, how can I put it? When you get to it, it's a bit of it doesn't quite just getting it doesn't sometimes live up to the expectations of all the stuff that you've had to do to get there, right? But the road there is interesting, and again, the people that you talk to and the different things that you end up doing is really quite interesting. I mean, I've on Chambers of Zenobia, which was really interesting, and on a couple of other games, I've actually managed to talk to the authors of the games,
Yeah.
and that was always fun to get sort of their perspective. And when they tell stories about how, oh, I was 14 years old at the time, or I was 16 years old at the time, and I wrote this, and I was in my mom's kitchen, and I bought a bunch of baggies, and I made a bunch of photocopies, and my
Yeah.
mom helped me, and we put that, and then we went to we put an ad in the soft talk, and then my phone was ringing night and day, and those types of things, because people wanted to buy, but also people wanted to get hints on the game. And anyways, it's just really, I just
Yeah.
find that really interesting, and to me it's a lot of fun, right? And that's why I do it. And I don't want these types of things to lead to
So,
measures that are not, are going to stop making things fun in the community. And it doesn't have to happen, right? So we need to be a bit careful, but I think we can continue to have fun
enjoy it.
as we're doing it, right?
But I would like to add, for the people that only collects, I would like to add that I would prefer that in any way, or any chance, if they could share what they have, like you do, you preserve, not only collect. And there's a lot of people that just collects, and my concern is that a lot of people just collect and don't want to copy or share, or do anything, preserve. And I would encourage those people that they should preserve, not only for their own good, because what happens if their copy goes bad?
Mm.
They won't be able to recover it. And if there's the only copy in almost all the world, it's going to be lost forever. It's better to preserve it, save it somewhere else, and he can keep the original one. It's very valuable original one, but there is a copy already somewhere, and it can be recovered, or it can be shared, or it can be like you. Thanks to you, we are playing a lot of games that we didn't know. I'm sure, or any programs.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Not
thank
you,
you.
but you and the people like you that and John and all that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in doing this, but I think going back to what I was saying, I think we have fun doing it, which is really part of the reason we continue to do this. But I'm hoping. I mean, not this one because this is not real, but I'm hoping that we're going to find another copy of this because it's still I learned about the existence of this game 19 years ago, and I'd love to actually have an original in hand. So if anybody has any ideas or sees one or finds one or learns about one, let me know.
Please. And if anything, maybe they can loan it to you so you can preserve it, see it, and then give it back. But at least you can see it and
whichever it is. But
whatever it is.
especially after this incident. It's it's like, okay,
I understand.
I gotta do this, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, hopefully you will get it, and hopefully this goes out to a lot of people, and we can get it like that. So again, personally, I don't care. No offense or anything, but I don't care of the original copy. I just want it to be preserved because I like to see it, and then later, okay, it's good. That's it. But I prefer to play. I'm more a user than a conserver. So I like to use it, play with them. So, but I like to give the opportunity to you guys to have everything that it's all available. So that's my opinion. All right. So anything else that you got to say? Any questions from the chat? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. If anybody's got
almost forgot. Oh. Come on, guys. It's your time to shine. Yeah, everybody wants their Apple IIc Pluses and Apple Squeezers. What chat? This is Adam. So yeah, guys. Any question for Stefan? You've seen my stuff, so I don't think you will have any questions for me. I'm a master forger. Oh yeah.
You're I just thought thanks for coming for it. You're very welcome. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're awesome, and thank you to come again. Not only
no problem. More than happy to do that.
Yeah, everybody want copies of Load Runner. Yeah, I'll photocopy it for you, Adam. No problem. Rarest software in your collection?
That's a good question. Yeah, rarest. So I have a couple of things that I've only ever and just because I've only ever seen one copy of it doesn't mean that there's only one. But certainly, I have a couple of things, where I've only seen one copy or two copies or that kind of a thing. There's one game in particular. About 15 years ago, I was sort of lucky enough to get a lot of games from someone who was really into adventure games back in the early 1980s, late 1970s, early 1980s. And there's one game called the Lost Ark of the Covenant, and it's a text and graphic adventure game that was written by somebody by the name of John Bodie, who was for a while the CEO of Black Ops Entertainment. I'm not sure what he's doing nowadays. Mm-hmm. And it's all it is. I mean, I talked about the story about how people, just photocopied a bunch of stuff, bought some Ziploc bags and did that at home and put them out in Softline or Soft Talk or wherever. That's exactly what he did. And he told me he sold, because I managed to speak with him a few years after. He told me he sold about 300-400 copies of that game. That's what he remembered, anyways. I've only ever seen one copy of that particular game. What else? There's a game I got on eBay not too long ago. It's called Stellar Power, and it's actually an up to 8-player game of some type of space combat, space trading, And not only had I never seen another copy of it, but there is no mention of this game anywhere in any magazine, any book, anything, other than one exception, one small, Stellar Power by STI Software or whatever it's called, 1995 or something like that, $19.95 or something along those lines, and that's it. So that was really a bit of a weird one. Never heard at all about this.
It was commercial.
Yeah, it was commercial, but I mean, commercial means again probably just one guy selling it, and that's it. So that's the. The other thing, I have a very, very very early copy of Mystery House. So Mystery House is not a rare game in itself by online systems, but there's been like 5 or 6 different releases of Mystery House over the years, and I have a very, very early release of it. Not only the first release of it, but an early copy of the first release of it, and it was given directly by Ken Williams to the former president of a small company called Phoenix Software, and I got it from him in 2004 or 2003, I think. So that's an interesting one. I actually didn't quite realize at the time just how early that copy was, until I learned a little bit more about it, and I talked to him a little more about it after. But it's interesting because it's a 13 sector floppy disk, so DOS 3.2, and it's got online systems very, very first address in I don't remember what the address is, but it was before they moved to Oakhurst in California. I think it was probably Ken Williams or Roberta Williams's house. That's on the address there.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and never seen those.
So, yeah, so those are interesting. You can find for at least 2 of those, not Stellar Power, but the Mystery House and the Lost Ark of the Covenant. I tweeted about it a while ago. So if you look back in some of my tweets, there's some stuff there about it, including a picture or 2.
Wow. They're talking about paper tape. Just seeing if they have more questions for you. Lemonade stand.
There is somebody said 8-inch on Apple II, which just give me 2 seconds.
No way. Hey Rudy, by the way, look.
So this is absolutely this has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but these are 8-inch floppies, right? You can sort of recognize them. They're 8-inch floppies they're actually 8-inch floppies for the Apple II. It's not a typical Apple II format there, obviously, but it looks like they were commercially released on the Apple II in some form, or CPM anyways in some form. It's really strange. I got that not too long ago, and even John Morris was a little surprised at what this was. But it's kind of funny, the kinds of things that you find. There's some weird things out there.
Were you able to read it?
Well, no, because I don't have an 8-inch floppy drive.
Yeah. Wow.
But I'm hoping to. I haven't given up on the hardware part. The person I got the floppies from may in fact have the hardware. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% certain.
That would be awesome.
So I mean, there's nothing here that's
nothing important maybe, but just read it and have the format.
But it was weird. I was not expecting 8-inch floppies for the.
I didn't know they were at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a bit. There, I even have a here. I'll show you some now.
Yeah, me neither. It's crazy.
So this. I got some manuals, right? 8-inch floppy drive controller for the Apple II.
Damn.
Yeah,
8 floppies is supporting. Oh my god, that's
yeah. So it's just really interesting. It's more of a curiosity than anything else, but yeah, it's cool. So
never in my life would think about it, man. Never. Wow. You see, every day we see something new. That's why we need to keep doing this.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why it's fun, right? You just
Yeah.
come across things that you
I'm
have
sure
no idea about.
you and John will find a way to read that. I'm sure. Yeah,
We're gonna try. No, yeah, we're gonna try for sure.
I'm sure.
I need an 8-inch floppy drive, which probably weighs a ton. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
And clearly the
Controller.
controller card here is an important one too if you're gonna run this on an Apple II. But yeah,
Well, when you do it, you gotta let us know, man, because you gotta show
yeah,
us everything. You gotta do videos and stuff.
for sure. We'll talk about that on another live stream if we're successful.
Yeah, with audio, well, if I
Yeah.
can find a way. No, yeah. John says that there was another company that made 8-inch for Apple II. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, man.
Some,
Wow.
some interesting goodies.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's Sugar Drive. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. The thing that I was telling the people before you join is that I've done some cleanup or whatever we say, restoration of boxes. This original box that I found on it was cheap because it was all crumbled,
Okay.
and I actually begin to iron it. I have there's this iron that I got specific for. I think they use it for model things, but with this iron you can go to little edges, little places. You know what I mean?
Cool.
And I use it to iron these boxes, so
Yes.
they straight up all the crumbles, and then I painted some of the edges so it doesn't look, it doesn't show the white of the paper.
Nice.
So again, it's kind of, I'm attempting to restore it. It doesn't look that bad, honestly. It used to be really, really ugly. So
it looks pretty good from here, and that's of course it's a hexagonal box. It's a pretty interesting shape. So.
Yeah, this thing, and actually, I think I also put some things to make it brilliant because it was all dull. One of these paints that to cover it, to protect it. So I mean, it's not perfect, honestly, but it looks a lot better than it came with. It was all
Nice.
creased and all crumbled. So, and I'm sure it's pretty common, this box, but I like it because it was a hexagonal box, like you say, and try to restore it. So that's another
Cool.
thing I've been trying. So
Very cool.
So yeah, that's it. Alrighty, so it looks like there's not too much questions. So I really appreciate, and it's almost 2 hours, man. So finally,
All good.
I really appreciate it again, man. Thank you very much, and hopefully this was also a good thing for folks out there to understand, to learn a little bit more about how you realize it was a forgery. So people also try to do that. Hopefully, also the things that we showed, little look at the corners, the edges, all these things, the paper that it's not new, the staples, all the little things that we say. Hopefully, they will serve. What else do you think you got to add, Stefan?
Yeah. No, I think that's it. That's good. Thanks for having me on the on the live stream, and really appreciate everybody that showed up and some of the questions and the comments here.
Yeah.
So that's fun, and I guess we'll have to do it again at some point, Javier.
Definitely. And now I promise no more silent.
Yeah.
All right, Stefan, thank you very, very much. Thanks, everybody. This was a good stream. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Remember to
Thanks, everyone.
subscribe. Bye.
Bye.